I'm going to show you something beautiful. Every plan we make is brought to ruin by these so-called heroes, who cannot comprehend that the world as it is unsustainable. Humanity is a plague that must be eradicated in order for the New World Order to take over. In the past, we have struggled alone as the heroes fight to keep us at bay, to maintain the status quo. We need to show them that we will not be strung up like puppets in a show to prop up their egotistical ideals and need for hero worship from the cattle inhabiting this world. Together, my friends, Magneto, Venom, Loki, Mysterio, Juggernaut, Hydra, and the others, we can strike at their plans. We can strike at their cities. We can strike at them. We can cut those strings that bind us to the human race. Join me, my friends. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
Greetings, mortals. I am Loki. In Legendary Villains, you become the bad guy, trying to kidnap innocent bystanders, beat up the heroes, and foil their plans. Pretty much the same things the villains did in Legendary, except this time the players are controlling them. Only the terms have been changed. A mastermind is a commander, a hero is an ally, a villain is an adversary, a scheme is a plot, and so on. The differences are small. There are bindings instead of wounds, and these are two different things. They function the same, as they add chaff to your deck, but bindings can be forced onto your fellow villains. S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra also remain different organizations. Even though they are both gray cards, they are not interchangeable. The ally types are common to both games, but the ally teams are not. Members of the Brotherhood are not members of the X-Men. However, the games are combinable so that you can mix and match the heroes and the villains. Thematically, it happens all the time in the Marvel Universe. In fact, the last Thor movie had Thor and Loki teaming up. What the game really needs is some ultimate villains that both the heroes and the villains must join together to defeat, like Galactus or Thanos. And I would have said Ultron, but he makes an appearance in this set already. The expansion, to be released shortly, is called Fear Itself, and is based upon the storyline in which some of the heroes are taken over by bad guys, and I like the thematic feel of that. In fact, I propose a head-to-head scenario in which players face off using combinations of heroes and villains with two masterminds and commanders. The ideal scenario would be the Civil War storyline, pitting Commander Iron Man versus Commander Captain America. Let's make this happen, people. But I digress. Here is the board from Legendary. The main difference between the two is that in the city, instead of going from the sewers to the bridge, you go from the bridge to the sewers. There is a layer instead of an HQ and other minor changes. First off, here is the Bindings card, which says, if you don't recruit any allies or defeat any adversaries or commanders on your turn, you may KO a Bindings from your hand. If you do, the player to your right gains all the other bindings from your hand, which hasn't really made a difference in the game I've played so far, but I guess if you end up with many bindings,
it could not be a nice thing. The commanders you'll face include Doctor Strange, but strangely enough, there's no Dormammu for you to fight him with. There's also Nick Fury, who will demolish your hand constantly. There's Odin, who will attempt to overwhelm you with Asgardian warriors. And finally, Professor X, who will take over your allies and turn them against you. Additionally, there are several new keywords introduced in villains. Dodge will allow you to either use the powers on the card or discard the card and draw a new card from your deck. This actually comes in very handy. For example, if you have a recruitment card with dodge, but what you really need is more attack points, you can dodge the card and possibly get the attack points you need on the new card drawn. The rest of the keywords are on the adversary cards, which are the heroes that you're trying to defeat. Demolish has you draw a card from the allied deck and then discard a card from your hand that costs the same as the card drawn. So if you draw something that costs 3, you then put it back and you discard something out of your hand that costs 3. The elusive keyword is followed by a number. To fight this adversary, you must have recruitment points in your hand equal to or higher than the number on after the elusive keyword, or you can't fight him or her. So, for example, Wasp here has elusive of 7. So if you have 7 recruitment points or more in your hand, then you can fight her. If you don't, then you can't, even though she's only an attack value of 1. That's why she's worth 4 victory points. Still get to use those recruitment points for recruitment, so don't worry about that. Finally, the extreme attack keyword adds 1 attack point to each adversary who is in the city who has the extreme attack keyword. So if you have 3 adversaries in the city that all say extreme attack, for example, here's Storm and Nightcrawler and Colossus, if they were all 3 in the city at the same time, each of them would get +3 to their attack. So Storm would be worth 7 instead of 4. Villains also introduces 2 new generic cards, or gray cards as they're called. Madam Hydra costs 3 and has 2 recruitment points, plus the dodge keyword. However, to use those points, you have to discard a card from your hand. So she is useful, but at a cost. This other card is my favorite. The New Recruits card costs 2, provides 1 attack, and when you use the card, you place it back into the New Recruit stack and draw another card from your deck. So you play this card, you get the +1 attack, you put it back on the stack and draw another card from your hand, which can be pretty awesome. This is way more useful than you would think. With enough New Recruits in your hand, you can cycle through a lot of your deck and build up some good attack points while keeping your deck nice and thin. Now, they don't replace the Shield Officers from Legendary, so if combining the games, you can actually use all 3 stacks if you wish, the Madam Hydra, the New Recruits, and the Shield Officer, which is a good idea.
The biggest difference in the play of the game is that villains don't necessarily get along, so there are many ally cards that can affect the other players. There's a lot more take that going on between players, making villains live up to its name. Some cards will give you a benefit if you make your opponents discard cards, or give them bindings, or other negative effects. If there is one reason not to recommend this game, it would be this. If you do not enjoy games where you do bad things to other players, then this might not be the game for you. Some people don't, which is why I mention it.
For example, here's Ultron's high-value card. Each other player reveals a tech ally or discards their hand. Each player who discarded their hand this way draws 5 cards. If you've played a tech already this turn, you get +3 attack for each ally discarded this way that costs 7 or more. Here's Juggernaut. Choose one. Each player KOs 2 cards from their hand, or each player KOs 2 cards from their discard pile. Then you get +1 attack for each non-gray ally KO this turn. See what I mean about these villains? Sabretooth's card. Each player reveals a mutant ally or reveals the top card of their deck. Choose any number of those revealed top cards to be KO'd. If you played a mutant card already this turn, you get +1 attack for each card KO'd this turn. So you're KOing cards all over the place. Ouch. Here's an excellent card, Mystique. Reveal the top 5 cards of the ally deck. You get attack equal to their total printed attack. Then put them back in any order. So you draw 5 cards from the top of the deck, add up all their attack values, and that's what Mystique is worth this turn. Can be pretty cool sometimes, let me tell you. Here's Magneto. If you play a Brotherhood card, for each other Brotherhood ally you played this turn, choose a player to gain a bindings. Then you get +2 attack for each binding you gained this turn. You get bonuses for hurting the other players. He's the best around. It's craving the hunter, driving you to ground. You get plus attack equal to the cost of the highest cost ally in the layer. Yeah, that could be pretty nice.
The other big difference is that the board has gone the way of the dodo. They've switched to a mousepad material for their boards like they did with Legendary Encounters. And I like it a lot. It's smaller, lighter, sturdier, and makes for a smaller box. Overall, fans of Legendary have no real reason not to like this game, unless they don't like the take-that aspect of villains. Those who thought Legendary felt too much like playing a game by yourself with other players might want to give villains a look-see. And there's something else I should mention. Playing this game solitaire is a lot of fun. You lose that take-that aspect, but it's pretty challenging. In fact, I found the game overall more challenging than Legendary. The commanders have some pretty nasty effects. Thank you for joining us in this review of Legendary Villains from Upper Deck Entertainment. Let me know if you found this review helpful by leaving a comment or sending me an email at elliott_miller@voiceofe.com. Make sure to subscribe to the Voice of E channel on YouTube, as I'll have a lot more thematic game reviews and board game giveaways, and you won't want to miss any of that. Please tell your friends to check out the Voice of E, and hopefully they will subscribe too. Thanks again, and until next time, keep your minds enslaved.
Get me that 6. We need more power.